Hey guys, in this video I'm going to talk about Kyogre versus Shadow Kyogre, and if you want to build a Shadow Kyogre, how good does it need to be? First off, if you already have a regular build, you also need a Shadow. In my opinion, you don't. The matchup difference are very small, but I do think that Shadow Kyogre is better at what it does because you mostly use it for water type pressure, and that is just Waterfall Surf you're going to be using like 80% of the time. You're not using Kyogre to throw blizzards at dragons. That's not a matchup you win anyway most of the time. So I'm going to show you a couple matchups that regular picks up versus Shadow and vice versa. I'm not going to talk too much over them. Take a screenshot or pause the video if you want to see the specific matchups per se. But what you mostly notice is that regular Kyogre would do a little bit better when it can land an Origin Pulse, which usually is enough to get a KO with Waterfalls, especially when a matchup is neutral. While Shadow actually does better when Waterfall plus Surf is enough, just because that 20% more damage, that usually does the job already. In the one shields, you don't do that well into Zacian and Zamazenta, because you don't take close combat that well. Now, if you don't have Origin Pulse on it, however, if we draw that comparison, Shadow Kyogre does much better in the zero shields into Pokemon like Florges and Mewtwo, just because you need Waterfall and Surf, and normally Kyogre would need Waterfall plus Origin Pulse. You'll find that you'll hardly ever need a second charge stack or won't even be able to reach it because it takes so long. But if you do use a second charge stack, I would recommend Blizzard. Let's say you lead your Shadow Kyogre into Origin Palkia. You swap out, they answer with Ho-Oh, and you get a farm down, and maybe later on as well. And then you get to the Blizzard on that opposing Dragon type. That could be Palkia, Kyurem, Zekrom, Dialga, name it, whatever. From regular Kyogre on Origin Palkia, Blizzard does 63%. From Shadow Kyogre on Origin Palkia, it does 76%. So you are more likely to threaten a knockout or get a shield from a bad lead. And that's why I think Blizzard on Shadow Kyogre also functions much better. Now let's talk about break and bulk points. If you're not familiar with my videos and you don't know what this is, a break point is reaching a certain attack stat where your fast attack damage will do one more. And a bulk point is where you reach a certain defense where you take one less damage from an opposing fast attack. Kyogre isn't as IV dependent. Let me explain. Let's say normally Dragon Breath damage does 2 damage per Dragon Breath per turn, right? And so if you have a higher attack, you do 3 damage per Dragon Breath, meaning that you basically deal 50% more damage per Dragon Breath. That is a huge increase. Now Kyogre has Waterfall, a 3-turn fast attack. Let's say your Waterfall does normally 9 damage, but with a certain attack stat, you do 10 damage per Waterfall. That means that you go from 3 damage per turn to 3.3 damage per turn. That is not a huge increase, especially not in a league where Pokemon tend to have 200 or higher HP. So yes, there are a couple break and bulk points. However, they, in my opinion, are so insignificant that your Shadow Kyogre will likely perform just as good as the ones with the break and bulk points. These are the breakpoints that I found, and none of these are important for winning or losing that matchup specifically. However, do keep in mind that if you don't have 15 attack, you will lose Charge Attack Purity Tai versus opposing Kyogre, versus Groudon, and versus Dialga Origin. One of those you win hard, the other one you lose hard anyway. But keep in mind, you might have to play the mirror a little bit different if you use a Kyogre without 15 attack. I think a Kyogre without 15 attack is still very viable. I would say that defense is a little bit different. In these bulk points, the bulk point into Zygarde is nice, but won't change the matchup. I would say that you probably want that bulk point into Melmetal though, so I would say make sure you have 13 defense. I don't know how meta relevant Melmetal will be at all times, but it's a Pokemon that where the fast attacks add up significantly, so that bulk point might be nice for winning or losing that matchup. As for HP, Kyogre has 184 HP in total, and you have the same amount at 15 and 14 HP stats. So I also always say it's a very niche stat. The amounts of times you're gonna win a match or lose a match by 1 HP, literally 1 HP on your Kyogre, is so slim. Probably happens like 1 in a 300 battles if I had to make an estimation. So you don't need HP too much, not gonna change any matchups. The best buddy will pick up the Charge Attack Purity Tai in the mirror against Groudon and Dialga Origin, all the Pokemon with the same attack stat. You also reach a breakpoint into Rhyperior and Shadow Rhyperior. Now, if you made it this far in the video, drop a comment with Rhyperior is bad, because that's what a Kyogre would say. I don't need to tell you how good Kyogre is into Rhyperior. You obliterate that regardless of best buddy or not. Hopefully that eases your mind a bit on Shadow Kyogre. You don't really need to build a new one if you already have a regular maxed out. And if I miss anything, let me know in the comments so we can share that with the community. This is also a good opportunity, by the way, if you don't have a Kyogre yet or a Hondo. Keep in mind you can also purify a decent Shadow Kyogre that you don't want to build because you find it insufficient. It will add +2 to all the stats, so you can perhaps still roll at Hondo. And if you're an absolute will like Kyogre, maybe you even want to build another one with Return. That's also an option. I hope you liked the video, and see you in the next one. Bye.